G'day team, welcome back. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make this DIY wet palette for under $8 Australian. Now if you've looked at buying a branded wet palette before, you'll know how expensive they can get. They're great, don't get me wrong, but honestly for scale modeling, you don't really need to spend that sort of money. This one takes about 5 minutes to make, costs next to nothing, and works just as well. With that being said, let's get to it. You'll only really need 3 things. First is a plastic container with a nice deep lid. This is the Sistema sandwich container that I use. I picked it up for about $5 and honestly it's perfect for this. The deep lid gives us plenty of room for the wet palette. Next you'll need one of these wiping cloths. They're basically the same as Chux wipes, but I grabbed the cheaper off-brand ones. A whole pack of 10 only costs around $1. If you don't have these, don't stress. A regular household sponge or even a few layers of a paper towel will work perfectly fine too. Lastly, we'll grab some baking paper. Pretty much any brand works. This is a 15-meter roll that cost me $2 and it'll last you ages. We'll start with the cloth. Lay it over the lid and line it up with the little grooves around the edge like this. Then simply grab a marker and trace around it. Don't worry about getting this absolutely perfect. We're only making a rough template. As you can see on the video, I'm gonna cut about 1 centimeter in from the line, and we can always trim a little bit off afterwards. Once you've cut it out, just test fit it into the lid. If there's a bit sticking out, trim it down until you're happy. The great thing about these cloths is that they last for weeks. Just give them a rinse every now and then, or whenever you swap over your baking paper, and you're good to go. Now we'll do the exact same thing with the baking paper. Lay your cloth on top of it, trace around it, and cut it out. Again, if it's not perfect, don't stress. Baking paper loves curling up and making life difficult, so just trim it until it fits nicely. Now here's the really good bit. At the size we're cutting it, this 15-meter roll will make about 115 palette sheets. So for only $2, that's serious bang for buck. Now we can put the cloth into the lid. Next we'll add some water. You don't want to be too conservative here. If there's not enough water, the palette simply won't work properly. A really easy way to tell if you've got the right amount of water is to press down gently with your finger. As you can see on the screen here, the water should rise up through the cloth and lightly pool around your fingertip. If that happens, you're pretty much spot on. Now we can place our baking paper on top. If you've got the right amount of water underneath, you'll notice the paper almost instantly gets sucked down onto the cloth. Now grab something small and flat. I'm just using the sides of my tweezers and gently pushing out any air bubbles trapped underneath. Once you're finished, the baking paper should sit nice and flat against the cloth. If you notice bubbles appearing after a minute or two, or the paper starts lifting away from the cloth, that's usually a sign you don't have the right amount of water. The reason we want good contact is because the moisture slowly passes through the baking paper and keeps your acrylic paint hydrated while you're painting. Another thing I really like about using this container is that once you're finished for the day, you can simply pop the lid back on. It seals up really nicely, so if you need to step away from the bench for an extended amount of time, your paint stays fresh for longer. And there you go. Whenever the baking paper gets dirty, just cut yourself off another sheet. You've got over 100 of them waiting on the roll. Here's some paint I left sitting on mine for about 18 hours overnight, and as you can see, it's still perfectly usable. All I had to do was add a tiny drop of water, give it a quick mix with my brush, and Bob's your uncle. Definitely one of the best bang for buck hobby upgrades I've made. If you've got any other cheap DIY hobby tips, let me know in the comments below. I always love seeing what people come up with, as people can be so creative. If you enjoyed the video or learnt something new, be sure to leave a like, comment below, and subscribe if you're new. And as always, happy modeling, and I'll catch you on the next one.